Do you guys think that feminism has done damage to dating and relationships?
I think
Well, if you look at statistically...
Well, hold on. Let's start with you. We'll go around the table. Go ahead.
Can we start over here and go
No.
around?
Start. Go.
I just really don't
You
know.
don't? Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Repeat the question, sorry.
Do you think feminism has done damage to dating and relationships? I suppose specifically within male-female relationships.
No.
You don't think it's damaged the relationships?
I think you
between the
disagree with
genders?
me, but like, what's an example of like how feminism has damaged dating?
Well,
that you feel
the
like-
basic idea would be selling women the idea that if you're career oriented and you just chase all of that instead of chasing finding a man, getting married, being a mother, all of those things, that will somehow leave you fulfilled. And in almost every case, we just know that that's simply not true, which is probably a shitty thing for a guy that's 47 to say to a 20, I don't know how old you are. Right, but like it probably actually is true. And not probably,
I
there's
feel like
definitely
people
empirical
kind of
evidence
present this
that
false
it is.
dichotomy.
It doesn't mean that women shouldn't be equal, but the idea of feminism, selling this thing that you have to be out there working all day and not home for your, like we all know, like my mom, when my parents got married, my parents have been married 50 something years. They still live in the house that I grew up in since I was 3 years old. My mom was working before, I'm the oldest. My mom was working before I went to school. Then she stopped working for like 20 years. My sister's 10 years younger than me. She made us breakfast every day. We came home. She was there to open the door every day. All my friends, my house was the place we went to. It created a type of stability and all of those things. And then that gave her worth. And then she then did go back to work after. But the idea that you would go be a lawyer and go like be in corporate America and you know, feminism sold something that fundamentally is probably not totally true.
I guess
not to say that there aren't exceptions to that, because of course there are.
I just see it as like this false dichotomy that you can either decide between like a career and a family, where it's like obvious that men manage to like have children and have like very successful corporate careers. I think women are finding it increasingly just possible for them to go to school, have a stable job for a few years, they have kids, they end up raising those kids, but then as soon as the kids are like right back in school, they want to go right back to work. And I don't see that as like a negative thing, I guess, like Brian maybe does. Or no, yes?
What's negative?
About like women working and also like raising families at the same time. I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
Well,
No,
I think that the lie at the
that's
center of
negative.
that in feminism is that you can do both of those things to the fullest capacity. And the truth is like one of those things has to take priority. You can't be the CEO and the supermom at the same time. And that lie makes a lot of women at the end of the day feel inadequate because it's
Kardashian.
impossible.
Kim Kardashian's a supermom.
The woman who's been divorced multiple times and she has
Rich
I don't think that she's done right
Rich
by
people
her
don't raise their
kids.
kids for the most part. If you become wealthy enough that you're like a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, what like wealthy people have in common with like lower income people is that they get other people to raise their kids because they get nannies.
But we don't know that though. So it could be different.
That's not a good
thing. It seems to me that
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's what ends up happening. Like their kids aren't just like latchkey kids at home or whatever. Like they end up outsourcing that or whatever because they don't personally dedicate.
I can
their
tell
time
you
to
it's
it.
actually a deeply depressing thing, truly, because I have a lot of friends that are super rich and we're obviously doing okay, and I could live that life if I wanted, and we made a very conscious choice not to do that because that's not what we want in our home for our kids. But
You
like,
have a
I know
successful
plenty-
career and you manage.
Yeah.
You said you have two
Yeah.
1-year-olds.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
managed to like strike a balance, right? Like,
Yeah, but
have
it's
you
free-
seen like
it's-
have you seen
it's
your
tough.
work or like household income decrease ever since you had your kids?
No, but my husband has fully 100%. He doesn't work a full-time job in that sense, but he has a job that's way more important than my job,
Right,
actually.
and
My job's bringing money into the house, but his job is keeping these kids alive and going, and he's
Right.
doing it incredibly
Once
well.
they become like
Yeah.
in school, do you think he's going to just
Yeah,
return back
probably.
to work?
Yeah.
I think that's what most women do.
Yeah.
Dave, it is 7:15.
That's it? All right.
But
Oh, man.
Dave,
I'm
hey,
going to a sex worker
Wait.
convention, so...
Wait, really quick.
Are you
I was
really?
asking- Do
That
you
is so funny.
what's up?
wait?
Yeah.
Do you do like debates or conversations on
Yeah.
your thing?
Yeah.
Would you ever debate Sam Cedar?
No, he's a horrible, horrible human being. No,
You wouldn't
definitely
debate
not.
him?
No.
But you're into like open exchange of ideas and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
no, he's a trash human being.
Why?
No, because he's done
Shots
like
fired.
1,000 videos about me that are all nonsense. I've never even talked about him.
I think
what a boring way to, not boring, what an unfortunate way to
With-
have me walk off. No, he's like a really terrible person. I didn't get into the internet to like just endlessly destroy everybody and everything else. I like talking to people that I can have enlightened conversations
Right.
with. And like some people just want endless destruction for.
I think you should
for
give
the
Sam a chance.
purposes.
I think you guys would have a really good conversation.
Yeah. Oh, you're a troll. I knew something was up with you this
No,
whole time.
I'm not. I genuinely
no.
think that
No,
like,
no,
Sam,
no,
you
no,
would have a great
no,
conversation.
no. I couldn't quite figure it out with you, but all right, you don't get the book. You guys get the book.
Oh, wow.
I've noticed that, you know, my whole life I've identified as a feminist. I've identified as one, but I've noticed this. There were feminists that I've met that were like, you couldn't be a feminist. Not at all. Not at all. Like, don't, just shut up. Quit talking.
There are some feminists that are anti-sex work.
Yes, and
then
they're
there's
very
some that-
mean.
There are some that are pro-sex work
Very
too.
mean. And they were very mean. And so it kept me in this voiceless position, in a sense where I was in relationships where I felt voiceless, where I was like, I want to speak out. But here I'm told by other women that I don't even like represent any other women or anything. So it's just, so I stay quiet. And when you stay quiet, silence is one of the most hurtful things that can happen.
Did they tell you why?
They just said, oh, you're a sex worker. You're not on like our level kind of thing. And
Why didn't you just ask why?
because I just like, maybe I'll just make him happy and stop saying that. But I always felt like I think that, I wonder if like the feminism, like it started out as like maybe a beautiful, empowering thing, and then it was turned into some sort of a tyrannical, like, hey, you're not good enough to be that. You are not good enough. As you're a sex worker, shut up. And it's like, why are you telling me this as a woman who claiming to be a feminist? Like, stop. Like, you know, you should be supportive of women, you know? And so I do identify one as, but a quiet one in that sense, because I felt like I would just get obliterated by some people.
See, this is what really
Hold
just
on.
bothers me with.
Okay. Do you have a quick? Is it quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you
What's
have?
the question again?
Has feminism
Do you think
damaged
feminism
dating?
has damaged the relationships between men and
I
women?
don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So feminism is damaging relationships as a woman? Like, I don't.
Holy fuck, this question. Okay.
Yeah.
It damaged my
really, like,
relationship because I didn't
seriously?
speak up in times where I felt like, man, I could get, you know, learn my voice with this feminine culture, and I could learn my voice, and I didn't speak up in certain situations, certain relationships, and that's where I felt the damage
From
happened from feminism to another woman who was trying to be.
I think
but
she's
not-
talking specifically about like swerves or sex worker exclusionary feminists or whatever in that sense, but I don't
Yes,
think you were
yes.
saying the principles of feminism
Yes.
themselves are detrimental to dating.
Thank you. Just what you said. Good.
You feel like you couldn't speak as a woman?
Sometimes, no.
Like the fear of oppression, like government oppression?
Just I think I grew up.
No, that's
real-
inexistent in the U.S. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the freedom to speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the freedom to speak as well.
Yeah, and so I just kind of let him, and I was just like, all right.
You felt
I
like
don't
you
know
didn't have the
what
freedom
the
to
fuck
speak.
you guys are talking
was that?
about.
You felt like you didn't have the freedom to
it's just
speak. You
not
had
in
the
her-
freedom to speak. It was just in your personal.
It was in.
It's not in her nature to speak up.
Yes.
She's made that very clear about her personality. It's not in her nature to speak up, and she's learning how to. That's what she's trying to say.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's
And it
because
makes
like
sense.
there's
and
no way,
feminism
there's no
allowed
way-
you to do that or did not allow you to do that. I just
She's
don't
just
understand
talking
how it's a
about her
political
experience.
movement and that you're
I hate
making
my
it.
fucking job.
I think
Sorry.
the point is that feminism.
Hi, Brian.
You cannot be a good enough feminist because
Thank you.
feminism asks women.
Just kidding. I'm
to
kidding,
be
guys. I'm
men.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What are we talking about?
She's
Modern
good enough feminist. You
feminism or
said
like
it right.
The old
You know,
feminism?
good enough. Like, when am I good enough? Like, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no such thing because
Yeah.
like feminism is based on a lie that there's no differences between men and women, and feminism expects women to act like men.
Or in
So
there's a certain.
It sets you up for failure.
I just think I mean, if you want to be independent, you can be an independent woman. Like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I feel like if you want to date a man, I feel like the man.
Do you think that feminism has damaged the relationship between men and women?
It depends on the circumstances, I would say, I guess.
I have no idea.
Okay. Did you want me to answer the question, Brian?
Let's try to keep it brief, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, to put it simply, feminism has damaged relationships between men and women. As I said before, it's because feminism as an ideology is based on an insidious lie that there is no difference between men and women, and
No,
that
women
we should
can
be
be
expected
men.
to act exactly the same way, and that's why there's no way to be
Can
a
you
good enough feminist.
Push your mic that way.
Good enough. Yeah.
That way.
Has OCD.
No,
Essentially, feminism asks women to be second-rate men.
I think any brand of feminism that's trying to get women to like replicate some of like the more toxic, I guess, aspects of like masculinity is not really positive or whatever. But I think it's a little bit of a straw man or like uncharitable to say that feminism is just the belief that like men and women are completely equal in all respects. I think it's about acknowledging those differences, but saying that they're not enough to argue against
Okay,
equality.
but you're strawmanning right now.
Equality between men and women. I'm just disagreeing with her.
It's a political liberation movement, and I think what it's asking for is women to be liberated from their own nature. And
Yeah. I mean,
if we're bringing
feminism-
it back to dating, this means that men can't take their natural role in dating anymore. They can't be the
Yeah.
pursuers. They
I
can't
think
be
you're-
the leaders. They can't be heads of households in a society where men and women are expected to have the same goals.
You say that, but you're in a long-term relationship, right? You said 1 year,
Yeah.
right? And then you were saying like professionally that you feel like you have like more masculine tendencies that make you good, and that you're like, I see a difference between myself like professionally and personally, right?
Sure.
I feel like feminism is the thing that has enabled you to be able to have a career path and also be able
But
to
most
enjoy
women are not
and also be
suited
able
to
to
that.
enjoy like a long-term relationship. I think you're living proof that it's not one or the other, that you can have this sort of like mainstream career and you can also have a personal relationship, and that doesn't come at the expense of one another.
But my point is that most women are not suited to that, to prioritize careers, because most women don't have the traits like a more assertiveness or higher disagreeability and the ability to negotiate, advocate for themselves.
So you're saying you just
These
think
are
you're
not
like-
things that come naturally to women.
Then why
It's
do you
just
have them?
Because exceptions to rules exist.
I don't think that you're just exceptional in that sense. I think there's lots of women who are equally as like, you know, forward
think?
or like confident and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's plenty of women like, I didn't catch her name.
Oh, Lauren.
Lauren, I feel like Lauren is a perfect example of like a woman who is perfectly capable of holding her own, and like these discussions like this, like coming into this like kind of more hostile environment or whatever. Because like as a sex worker, especially like with Brian's
So
personal
you're
views,
saying that the minority here is the majority, and what Mary's saying is that the exception doesn't make the rule. So that's
I'm
obviously
saying
what
I
you're
just think
debating
I
here.
just think it's hypocritical for you to say that you don't really support, like you think that feminism is toxic, but I'm saying that like feminism is the thing that's kind of enabled you to have
Okay.
the career that you
Feminism
have.
ruined
Hold on,
relationship
let me add
literally.
something. So,
Like,
would
we
you?
didn't say that we're supporting it.
One second, Josie. Would you rather just be able to stay at home and raise kids and not really have to make money by doing this? Or would you rather do this and have the kids and the home life? What would you prefer?
Having marriage and children is absolutely my ultimate goal in life, and what I will prioritize, and I will never prioritize my career over that. So
Okay,
if
that's
there is a
fine.
way to do a career on the side that does not hurt my ability to take care of my kids and pay attention to the quality of my marriage, then sure, I'll do that.
So I think the goal of feminism was to make it so that women could do what she's doing. But what happened with feminism is it made it so that women have to make money.
exactly.
Women have to be in the workforce now. Before feminism, it was they could stay at home and you could live off of one income, but now women have to work, and women are also being pushed to work. And so
It's like they're
kinda
not being presented with
taken-
the possibility of
There
being
was like
a wife
never a
and mother.
point in like American society at the very least where like there was women were completely left out of the workforce. Like even in
yeah,
like World War II, like
I didn't
women
say
stepped
that.
up to like be in. But you said there used to be a time where like women would stay at home and child rear,
I said
and then
could.
their husband would go off and do that.
Well,
You were
yeah.
making it sound like it was the majority of women. There was never a time where like there weren't working class
Well,
women who were
actually, like-
raising families and also holding jobs.
Let her talk.
I do think that, you know, what I'm beginning to understand about feminism is there's degrees of it. And I think that certain degrees of it, okay. And then when, you know, the thermometer goes up way too hot, it's like, it's very inspiring to see ladies, you know, like you and like you, be able to, you know how I said, like for people who feel voiceless, women who feel voiceless in that, it's very inspiring to hear from you guys and be like, no, they're saying that there's a fault here in feminism. It's not just all feminism in general. There's a fault in certain, you know, if you go too far, you tell them they went too far. And I like that as a woman, because it's like, okay, I'm not crazy, because I'm always told as being how I am, you're crazy, just shut up, you know, just and hearing that from you guys, like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like there's a thermometer of feminism.
Stop the cap.
Okay, maybe a little crazy.
Just a little bit.
Just
All right,
a
let me move things on.